welcome to the Goldenrod Podcast, bringing you some of the latest and greatest Pokemon news and a few laughs along the way. As always, I'm joined by fellow Pokemon enthusiast Connor. Before we begin, you can jump around the podcast by using the timestamps in the description below. Just thinking back to previous episodes, did that sound less angry? Because
no, massively less angry. I think it was about 2 episodes ago. You did it really softly, and then you kind of brought it back a little bit on last episode, and now you kind of leveled out somewhere in the middle. You're good. You're good. I don't feel attacked when you introduce me anymore, which is all that matters. Good.
I think it's the way that, the only way I can describe it is I kind of roll the letters together and growl a bit, I guess is the only way to... I'm not trying to do that. It's just the way, I guess, to...
Well, no, it's the exact same way when I do my introductions. It's, hello! It's just it's rough. It's right at the back of the throat.
Yes.
The Adam's apple kind of bounces on it a little bit. I get it. It's emphasis. It's not...
Exactly. I'm just emphasizing the person's name. I mean, it could be even more awkward. You could turn around at this point and go, no, my name's not Connor. You've been calling me the wrong name for like 8 weeks, and I'm just too polite.
It's actually Bill. I don't know how you got confused, honestly.
I'm ever so sorry about that. Should we just like delete all the other podcasts and start again?
Do you know how much work I've put into those? No. Don't you dare.
Okay, we won't do that. Anyway, you're all right, anyway.
I'm doing grand, mate. Thank you very much. How are you this week?
Yeah, I'm doing really well, thank you very much. Just trying to plow on with some of my YouTube content and personal stuff, because counting down the days till I get married. I get married in 22 days. So it's fast approaching. So whenever I'm not, recording content and with my family, I'm just doing wedding stuff. And honestly, I can't wait for the wedding to be over, just so I don't have to worry about designing things, building things, just planning things, paying for things as well, because weddings are very, very, very expensive. No matter if anyone ever tells you like a figure of how much their wedding cost, double it, okay?
Really?
Just double it, flat out double it, because everything just like ramps up in price, especially the closer you get. Unfortunately, and what we've learned is like I proposed, and then we set a date, and there was about just over a year. So it was about a year and 2, maybe 3 months between setting the date and actually getting married. And obviously, in that space of time, things go up in price as well. And companies and organizations you work with also put things up in price. And you have to kind of battle with them to go, hold on, no. You said it was this much, and you're going to honor that agreement. So, yeah, some little tips for you. Anyway, this isn't a wedding podcast. This is a Pokemon podcast. And today, I don't know about you, I'm feeling this is a bit gimmicky.
What? I don't even have a response for that. That's not a normal conversation.
I was reaching on that segue. It wasn't the best. But this week we are going to be discussing some of the more recent battle gimmicks in the Pokemon franchise, and possibly where we think this could go, maybe what we'd like to see. And it comes off the back of a comment from Chaos Dragon, who says, gimmick or feature you'd like to see in a future Pokemon game. So we thought we'd do retrospect, look back, and then also look forward. Yeah?
Yes.
Do you want to kick us off then?
So we're going to look all the way. We're starting with the look back, I presume.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Mm-hmm. So first one you got the Megas. Megas were the first real gimmick we were introduced to. If you don't know what we're referring to by gimmick, by the way, we're talking about battle gimmicks. So the things that were introduced, later dropped by Game Freak, they were designed to kind of spice up battles a little bit. And as later became apparent, were like an instant win button for newer players.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the first one you got is Megas. Probably most people's favorites.
It's mine. Is it yours?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I remember when it first came out and everybody looked at it, or at least I looked at it and went, hang on, Pokemon are Digimon now?
I get that.
Is that what's happening? They can evolve and then de-evolve again? That's not how Pokemon work. Yeah, it's interesting. It's a good addition to the universe. I mean, we got a lot out of Mega Evolution. I think it brought a lot to the universe, if you consider the fact that, like, AZ's War and stuff like that basically proved the concept of the multiverse and things like that. With the post game of Oras, you had like the link cable and all that kind of stuff that brought in the multiverse. I actually do like Mega Evolution a lot. I think they maybe could have spread it out a little bit better. I don't think Garchomp needed one. I don't think Charizard needed two. I don't think Mewtwo needed two. They could have given it to some other Pokemon that maybe needed it a little bit more.
Yes.
And there were, unfortunately, maybe too many Gen 1 Pokemon.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at a list now, because you've got the 3 starters, and one of them gets 2. Then you've got Alakazam, Gengar, Kangaskhan, Pinsir, Gyarados, Aerodactyl, Mewtwo gets 2 as well.
And so again, remember, this is at the time when like Pokemon Go was big, and that only had the original 151. We were on that nostalgia hype section of the Pokemon franchise. That's where we were at in time when this released. So it made sense marketing-wise. I just, looking back at it, kind of wish there were a little bit more for other Pokemon.
Yeah. Oh, I'm actually wrong. Those mons that I said were introduced in X and Y. I didn't know this. There were other Pokemon, other Mega Evolutions introduced in Oras.
Yeah, because you got Mega Blaziken.
Slowbro.
Sorry, I'm speaking over you. I will delete this section and
let
you go again.
Delete it. No, we're keeping this in. Keeping it in. So I'm just looking at this list. There is a lot of Gen 1 Pokemon and Gen 3 Pokemon.
Yes.
Which makes sense, because from I get it from the Oras perspective, because of the remakes of Gen 3. So they wanted to introduce a load of Gen 3 Mega Evolutions. I get that. And then there's a handful of Gen 4 Pokemon in there. And I'm looking at this list, and I can't see anything for Gen 5. Gen 6 kind of... it's
Gen 5, I think you've got Audino, and that's it.
Audino, that's it. Yes. Oh yeah, there it is. Mega Evolution.
Gen 6, the only Pokemon who Mega evolved in Gen 6 was Diancie.
See, yes. So you've hardly got. Oh yeah, there it is. So you've hardly got. So okay, right. I want to break this down. I don't want to be coming across as negative. I love Mega Evolution. I love the concept of it. I love how it can completely change a battle around. I love the fact that it influences the Pokemon, so stat changes, abilities, typing. You can switch them on the fly. And I know that we did that when we did the Wedlock series, now the Gyarados, that when it Mega evolves, its typing changes, and therefore its weaknesses and strengths and stab attacks change as well. And I love being able to use that in battles. I love the designs as well. Like, some of the designs are beautiful. I'm thinking like Mega Gyarados, for example, looks absolutely amazing. Mega Ampharos, like, they feel like they don't feel... Okay, so to go back many years ago when I first found out about, people had modded Pokemon games and they could do custom forms, and I was really put off playing them because a lot of the custom forms I looked at and I just thought, they don't look like Pokemon anymore. They don't look like they just don't look like Pokemon. They look like somebody's gone, oh, I'll give it a try and kind of try and create my own Pokemon. Whereas these Mega Evolutions feel very much like a natural evolution for a lot of the Pokemon.
Yeah, I can see that.
And they work really well. And I love that Megas, for some Pokemon, took them from being, oh, I never really used that Pokemon, to, oh, I really like using this Pokemon. So, for example, like Mega Kangaskhan, Mega Pinsir, and I'm trying to think who else, like Mega Morville, Mega what's the other one with the big gem? Mega Sableye. Like, they were all Pokemon that I don't think people really bothered with. It's at least not in my communities that I'm in. And they really benefited from Mega Evolutions. It gave them a second lease of life, which I really like.
They did. My worry with the single stage Pokemon, especially like Sableye, Kangaskhan, Pinsir, Heracross, the ones that you kind of mentioned, is we're now not going to see an actual evolution of those Pokemon.
Yeah.
And you just have this mega one that can turn on and turn off. And because think about it this way. So if Pinsir got an evolution rather than mega evolution.
Hmm.
We might never see mega evolutions again. We probably will, because Game Freak, as we've said before, do listen to their fan base, and the fan base clearly want megas back. At least a large vocal portion of them want megas back. So I expect to see them at some point in the future. We still see them in Pokemon Go and things like that, so they're not gone from the franchise. But if we'd got a actual evolution for Pinsir rather than a mega evolution, they couldn't really have removed that from later generations. So it's almost like they've introduced something that you get to play with for a little bit, and then it's okay, we're taking that away now. And that's just because maybe the initial intention, and it did seem this way, that megas were going to stick around forever, because they flowed on into Sun and Moon, they flowed on into Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and it wasn't until Sword and Shield where it finally got taken out. And to my knowledge, a lot of that came down to the competitive community.
Oh, really? Okay.
So megas were basically an issue for competitive from day dot. You know, Mega Kangaskhan was horrific.
Broken. Yeah.
It was just one of the most broken Pokemon ever introduced. And then once you had Oras came out, you know, Mega Rayquaza, which didn't need a Mega Stone to evolve, was running rampant.
Yeah,
so people were like, okay, Megas are something we have to kind of consider and play around now. But the problem was when you brought in Z moves, suddenly you've got Mega Evolutions and Z moves on the same team, and it just became a little bit too much.
I get that. I can understand why, because Mega Evolution felt so. Dynamaxing and Z powers felt very much like that's the gimmick for this generation. Once we move on, we're not revisiting that. And it's very evident in Dynamaxing, because in Sword and Shield, they say in several parts of the game, like, this is unique to the Galar region. Like, you cannot do this anywhere else. Whereas Mega Evolution felt like, at least to start with, that it was something that was going to carry across multiple generations. And maybe, to me, it felt like this was going to be a new staple of the series. Like, every game, every new generation introduces more Mega Evolutions. So, and I think I'm not sure whether or not they got cold feet, whether or not they were under pressure from the competitive community, like you've mentioned, but something feels like somebody somewhere just stepped in and said, no, we're not having this anymore. And like you've already pointed out, and the reason why I think that's happened is, if it had just been in X and Y as the gimmick, like, you know, Z powers and Dynamax, it would have been like, okay, that feels quite normal. Oras, okay, yeah, it's a bit of a stretch that all of a sudden it's into 2 gens, but one of them's a remake and it's on the same console. I get that. But then it wasn't dropped for Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, even though
it was only post-game.
It was only post-game, and no new megas were introduced in those games, as far as I'm aware.
No, because we got regional variants instead.
That was it. But then Let's Go. We got Let's Go, which also had it. It's just really bizarre how they just kind of stopped when it felt like this is going to be something that just carries on. And part of me thinks maybe one of the reasons they did that, perhaps, is because maybe they see it as a way to sell more units, where, okay, this is the latest gimmick, and people are going, oh wow, that's new and shiny, I haven't seen that before, I really want that, which is a shame, because Z powers just didn't appeal to me. They look beautiful, I get the point of them, but it just didn't appeal to me. Dynamaxing took me a while to get around to thinking, oh my, I really do actually quite enjoy this gimmick when you use it correctly. But it I still miss Mega Evolution. Out of all 3 of them, that's the one that I just felt bought. It didn't feel like a gimmick, it felt like a natural evolution, and it made changes to the Pokemon that affected the flow of battle, ultimately. And it's just, I'm not quite sure and I could understand a bit more if Mega Evolution was done and dusted. Oh, it's a thing of the past. But you've still got Mega Evolution in some of the mobile games. Like Pokemon Go is introducing Mega Evolutions. It's not like, oh, we did that, you can still use it. Like they are still introducing Mega Evolutions. You've got Pokemon Masters also in the same category where, every now and again they're bringing in new sync pairs, and guess what? Oh, this one can now Mega Evolve. And it's like, well, which one is it? Are we saying this is a thing that's done and dusted, or are we... I'm a bit confused by them.
So I think what it is it's still a thing that makes money. The designs still make money. They still play on that nostalgia and powering up sort of old favorites. I think perhaps, and then again, I am not a game designer. This is my layman's knowledge here. Maybe it was a lack of foresight in the mechanic itself. So the reason that we don't see Mega Evolution and Z moves anymore is because of the amount of items, what single-use items that need to be implemented in every single game if it were to carry on.
Yeah.
Every Pokemon that gets a Mega Evolution, you need a Mega Stone. And all those Mega Stones need to be findable or accessible somewhere in the region. Also, all the Z crystals need to be accessible through the region somewhere to be findable. And it's just like, do we need that? Is that really a thing that we need to introduce? We're already got all the Arceus plates, all the Genesix drives, we dropped all the gems and things like that because there was too many of them and they weren't necessary. Like, there's already so many single-use items throughout these games, and as it expands further and more Pokemon get introduced, do we need to fill up all these item slots and have all this data that don't really do much? I don't know. I mean,
I get that.
I can understand the idea of it because it was a collectible. It was a thing, especially in Sun and Moon with the Z moves. It was effectively your badge. For a lot of them, I understand that some of them you could find throughout the region if you sort of explored and things like that. But they worked kind of as a badge system throughout that. So I can understand the idea of wanting to be collectible in their home region. But then that just means that there's a whole bunch of them for every region they're on after.
I understand that because obviously, like you say, like if you take into account Z crystals, plates, mega stones, like suddenly you've got 100 plus items that you need to code into every game. B, you need to find a placement for them. Whenever you move console or you upgrade whatever the can't think of the word, like not the operating system, but like what you use to design the software and everything. Like they're extra items that you've got to program because they need a menu sprite and everything like that. It's just extra work every generation where if you keep all these things in, it's just more things you've got to redesign and build from scratch at some point. Like all the mega Pokemon, all the animations as well. There's a lot of work that goes into this, and as we said on previous podcasts, like even though it's the highest grossing media franchise in the world, that isn't all that money doesn't go to Game Freak to develop games. Only a small percentage of that goes to them, unfortunately.
No, and we've already got to a point where there's too many Pokemon.
Oh yeah.
Basically, is whether you like that or hate it, or whether you still are on that Dexit thing. There are too many Pokemon to have in every single game now, and having too many items just doubles the work, really. So I'm not surprised they removed Megas and Z moves and Dynamaxing and things like that. You did say, though, you weren't a big fan of Z moves, so why?
For me, okay, so when you think about Dynamaxing and Mega Evolutions, they change the Pokemon and they change they kind of change the tactics that you need in order to battle the Pokemon or take them down. Whereas Z moves, for the most part, just felt like it's normally a guaranteed one-hit KO move, and I just didn't like that element of it. I rarely used it in battle, so maybe that's part of the issue. Whereas like Mega Evolution Dynamaxing, I used in competitive battles, whereas Z powers, I just didn't. And I'm one of them that I don't like one and done items that are okay, use it once, done and dusted. I like to put items that strategically help that Pokemon or help the team overall. And the problem is with Z powers is that there are how many 18 typings at this point. What are the odds that you have the right Z crystal on the right mon to take down the right opponent? Like, it just felt like, okay, if I'm going to use this, I need to run Z crystals on all 6 of my mons to make sure that I've got coverage. And then once you've used that one attack, oh, well, all those items are suddenly useless now. I can't use it. At least with Mega Evolution, you build a team around that mon that you want to evolve, and you've got a strategy for it. Dynamaxing, very similar, where you can use it both offensively and defensively, depending on the flow of the battle. Whereas Z powers just felt like I'm hardly gonna. What are the odds that the one Z crystal that I've got equipped will give me, an advantage? I might as well use other items. So I rarely used it. That was my frustration. I think with it was that it just I could understand it more if the way that it maybe functioned is that whichever Pokemon you've got out at that current time, you press Z power and it was like, okay, you can pick any of the typings and you can just go for it, and you would benefit from stab if it was a stab type attack and obviously do less damage. But at least that way I'd feel like, okay, all I need is a Z crystal on my most powerful mon, or one that has Swords Dance, for example, or Dragon Dance to boost its attack maybe, and then I go, right, okay, now I've set up, okay, they've bought out this mon to counter me, I'm weak to it, but hey, I'm faster, I'm going to use a Z power and kind of change the flow of battle. That was my frustration with Z powers, is it just felt like there was too many variables to truly benefit from it.
So you wish Z power or Z powers were more like Dynamax? Effectively.
Effectively, to some degree. I don't think it should have the benefits of some of the Dynamax moves, because I do like the fact that Dynamax moves can, improve your defense, improve your attack, whatever, like that. Z power for me should have just been a one-hit, super powerful attack. Your opponent might survive it. They might, I don't know, use Protect to absorb some of the damage, or they might switch out and predict and things like that. But the way I would have liked to have seen it, there would have been a difference between Z power and Dynamaxing moves.
That's fair. So my issue with Z moves, and I do have an issue with Z moves, because of course I've realized as we go on with this, I'm just the complainer. I'm the one who has issues with everything. That's not true, by the way. I love this franchise in its entirety, just to a point where I can criticize it and not hate it. That's kind of the way I stand with these things. No, my issue with Z moves is less to do with the actual mechanic itself, and more to do with the length of the animation.
Okay, right. Okay,
because I get it. Like, there's some of them, like especially like the dragon move, and
they're beautiful.
I think like Snorlax's signature Z move. They're gorgeous. They're some of the best animations we've ever seen in Pokemon. But for a normal playthrough, I don't want to watch that every time I use it. Come on, it just. And as you say, they're the strongest moves, so you really do want to be doing them sometimes, and it's just like. Ain't nobody got time for that.
I get that, which is a shame, because some of the animations and the character models and the moving and everything like that, and they look absolutely beautiful. They look amazing, and you can tell that the developers have put time into animating them and making them look great. And unfortunately, it was just for me, it's the most forgettable gimmick, and maybe that's because of implementation, but it might be that I'm playing Sun and Moon wrong. I've only ever played it, I think, twice through, and 3 times through. One of them wasn't even to completion because I lost when I was Twitch streaming, doing a Nuzlocke, and it always felt to me like Z crystals. I didn't like the fact that they were kind of locked behind. Okay, you have to beat this basically the gym leader, but it's not. It's the whatever they're called. What are they called? The people.
Trial captain.
The trial captains. That's the one. So then you get the Z crystal, and it just goes into the bag, and I never use it again, unfortunately. And maybe I'm just playing it wrong. I'm sure we'll get comments from people going, yet you're supposed to, like, the ones that you get just before the next trial are the ones that you're supposed to use, and you're supposed to go out and get the Pokemon, and then, but the problem is with that relies on the person having unlimited time to go out and explore and train up loads of different. I haven't got time for that in my life.
Yeah, those games are already long enough as it is.
Yeah, exactly. And then they're expecting
Sun and Moon is specifically.
They are, and don't get me wrong, there's parts of me.
There's a lot to love about it.
Yes, and I don't mind a bit of a longer Pokemon game, to be quite honest with you. And I'm one of them now that, looking back, I do actually enjoy the story of Sun and Moon. They were trying to actually do a story, which some of the older ones didn't really have. But anyway, I'm digressing here. But the Z powers, there's a lot of love, a lot to love about them. I just didn't like, for me as a casual player, the implementation of them.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. There was too many items, and it took too long to do them. I agree. Leaving us with Dynamaxing.
So I'm going to go first on this, because when it was first introduced, I absolutely hated it. The more I've played the game, the more I've fallen in love with it. To the point where it's nearly up there with Mega Evolution. And I can understand when it first came out and people were saying, well, it's the best of both from Mega Evolution and Z Power. I can understand where people are coming from. And I've done enough challenge videos and video series, and just in my, just in general, battling other people competitively online, that it feels like the most natural of the three in terms of changing the flow of battle, if that makes sense. I love the fact that, like I've mentioned, you can use it defensively, you can use it offensively, you can use it to boost stats or boost or apply field effects as well. Some of the Pokemon that benefit from Gigantamaxing, absolutely gorgeous. Like Machamp, for example, like absolutely love how that looks when it Gigantamaxes. What was the elephant one? I always forget the elephant one that Rose uses.
Not Koofant, that's the tiny one.
No, it's a something. It's a steel Pokemon. That's all I know.
The big steel elephant thing.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's gonna wind me up
yeah,
now.
it's me too.
Copperaja.
That's the one. Absolutely love. It's like I really rate Dynamaxing, and it's one of the ones actually that I can understand why they're not going to carry that over into Gen 9, but I can't help but say I'm a little bit, not upset, but I'll be sad to see it go.
See, I like Dynamaxing, and the thing is, it didn't feel much in the same way that Z-Moves did. It didn't feel like I push this button and take out a Pokemon.
Yeah.
There was strategy to it, especially in competitive, and more so, weirdly enough, because way back when Pokemon created VGC, people were like, well, hang on, it's doubles rather than singles. I'm not sure about that, because most people fight in singles. That's kind of where they're comfortable. That's what the story is and all that kind of stuff. But VGC is doubles, which, if you don't know, is the video game championships. I think that's what it stands for. Anyway, it's Pokemon's official competitive Pokemon tournament style, and it's double battles. Dynamaxing is the only one to me that stood out as a, yes, this really makes sense for doubles. Z moves kind of feels like a one-on-one. It's my Pokemon, one Pokemon does a very powerful move against your one Pokemon. Mega Evolution kind of did some benefits for doubles, but again, felt more suited for singles. It's one Pokemon that gets really powerful. Dynamaxing, yes, it's one Pokemon that gets really powerful and has lots of health. But the moves it does either affects the battlefield or your team as a whole. Like being able to use a flying type move and suddenly your teammate is faster because they're stood next to you was huge and really changes the game and how you play it and the utility that you have out of Dynamaxing. So that for me is why I liked it more, because, and again, unlike Z moves and Mega Evolution, you couldn't just use it all the way through a normal playthrough. You basically were limited to using it in the gyms, and not even all the gyms. And that was it. I do wish the gym leaders used Dynamaxing better.
Yes, I'd agree with that. But I think that comes. Go on. What do you mean by better? I think we're on the same wavelength, but just
As in, they always waited until their last Pokemon and just like, oh, well, now it's big. And it's like, well, okay.
Yeah, and they're pretty much limited in terms of moves as well, unfortunately. Like, the Eldegoss, which is the first Dynamax Pokemon you come across, pretty sure it only has grass or normal type moves. The second gym with Dreadnought, a little bit better because obviously it has dark, rock, water, and I think normal. So it's got a little bit more coverage. But that's what I'd like to see, where depending on, how that battle is flowing, the AI was a bit better. So it would go, actually, you know what? Throw a curveball. I'm going to set up with the first one. I'm going to Dynamax, and then let's see what we can do. It is a little bit annoying, like you say, it is always the last one, unfortunately.
Yeah, and as you say, like, Dynamaxing was, unlike Mega Evolution, unlike Z moves, it could be used on your entire team. So at any point, you could pull that trigger. It wasn't a case of like, oh, well, I know they're running their Z move on their Mimikyu. I know it's their Charizard that's going to Mega Evolve. It's any one of these Pokemon at any time could go big and change the game. Like, I was watching a bit of VGC the other day, and somebody Dynamaxed, I think it was their Eldegoss, in order to pull off a really specific move that gave them the win, and then switched out immediately.
Yeah.
And it's like, because nobody ever expects you to Dynamax Eldegoss, that eventually won them the game because of the very specific interactions that went down there.
Right.
And it's just like, if that was Megas or if that was Z moves, you wouldn't have had that option. You were locked in before you go into the battle. And that's why I like Dynamaxing a little bit more. It's the versatility of it.
Yeah. I like that. I do like that because you can build a team where obviously everyone has their like win conditions. Okay, in order to win, I'm going to, set up Swords Dance or Toxic Spikes or whatever it is. But you can, depending on how the battle is going, you can forego the original strategy of, I was going to Dynamax this Pokemon, but actually, based on their team and what I've seen, I'm going to Dynamax this other Pokemon because it makes more sense in that battle. Whereas, obviously, like you said, with the other two gimmicks, you can't do that. Like when you go into if you take a Mega Pokemon in, you kind of, unless you're rocking Mega Stones on all 6 Pokemon, chances are you're not. You're limited, and there might come a point where you're thinking, if I Mega Evolve now, there's no benefit. I might as well have had another item. And the same with Z powers. You could end up bringing a Z Crystal, point it on a Mon, and because of your opponent's Mons, there's no benefit to using it, or you're not going to get the full benefit from it. Whereas Dynamaxing, because you can just use it on any Pokemon, and those Pokemon can still have held items, whatever it might be, and obviously you can really flesh out your diversity by looking at the different TMs and TMs and TRs, to really make sure that whichever Pokemon you're Dynamaxing could potentially have 4 different type moves. So you've got that coverage in battle. Just while we're on Dynamaxing, though, I do want to, I have to point this out, and I think I've mentioned it on the podcast at least twice now. I love the fact that it's also involved in the story as well.
Yes.
So you obviously make it to the top of Rose Tower, and all of a sudden you're faced with Eternatus, which Gigantamaxes, and then you participate in a raid battle to fight it. That to me is my favorite Pokemon moment. Absolutely love it. Everything just works when that Pokemon Gigantamaxes, because suddenly you're like, oh, okay, this Mon is a threat. It feels very much like a threat. And even when you've got, 2 legendary Pokemon supporting you and Hopped Wooloo or Dubwool, because of course he brings a Dubwool to fight a legendary Pokemon. It just the epicness of it all. And I think that Dynamaxing just really helped to cement it. I think it cemented itself because of how it was implemented and just the hype around it. So, for example, when you're in a gym battle, they're down to their final Mon, they Dynamax it. Oh, I've never seen this Pokemon, Dynamax, or in the later gyms, Gigantamaxed. So it's like a brand new Pokemon that you haven't seen. It's Gigantamax. The crowd's all kicking off. You've got the music in the background blaring away. It just works so well in terms of both, the battle mechanics, but also the setting the atmosphere and the tone of the game.
Yeah. And I love the inspiration behind it as well. I don't know if you know this.
No, go on.
So the idea was when the team came together to come up with Sword and Shield, they were like, oh, it's going on the Switch, so you can have it in your hand in small, or you can go big on the TV.
Oh, that's ace.
Maybe we should go big with Pokemon.
Oh, wow. I like that
That's
idea.
where it comes from. That's why we have
so
Dynamax,
cool.
is because they were like, go big.
Oh, I love that. I absolutely love like creative type people that are able to do stuff like that. Just look at the real world examples and then add something, change something, implement something. Absolutely love it. Do you think any of these are ever going to truly make a comeback? I.e., okay, two questions there. Do you think that they will eventually become, okay, this is coming back and it's going to span multiple generations? Or do you think we might ever get where, okay, this game takes place in this region and guess what? There's also Z crystals here.
I think you'd struggle with Dynamaxing and Z moves
Mhm.
because they are intrinsically linked to those regions.
Yeah.
Mega Evolution isn't so much. It's suggested lore-wise, which is something I care about more than anything, really. Lore-wise, AZ sent off the ultimate weapons laser, it went into space and it came down, and that created Mega Evolution. It is just a thing that exists within that universe now. So all the regions within that universe can theoretically access Mega Evolution. And, we've seen that now in the anime, where everybody's got Mega Evolution. Z moves are, again, that's an Alolan thing, and it is tied to the Alolan Guardians.
Oh, so is it region based then? So you couldn't take the Z crystals away.
So it's very much. I'm pretty sure the Z crystals are tied to both the Alolan Guardians, so the Tapus, and Necrozma.
Oh,
Necrozma, like the Z crystals are parts of Necrozma, to the best of my knowledge.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure that's correct. I'm pretty sure that's correct. But remember, we are recording this live, and I am human.
Yes.
But yes, I'm pretty sure that's the case. So to get Z moves out of Alola is a stretch.
Okay.
Realistically, you might see somebody use it.
Yeah.
And then go, okay, you beat me in a battle. Here, have a Z crystal.
Yeah.
And you get kind of one. And maybe you get the Pika Z, whatever it is.
Like
the one that lets it use its million volt barrage or whatever it's called. So you might see that. Dynamaxing, I don't think you could do it outside of Galar. One, the Dynamax spots are, again, intrinsically linked to Eternatus. I can speak today. It's great. The Dynamax spots are intrinsically linked to Eternatus.
Yeah.
So the Darkest Day and all that kind of stuff that happened in Galar, as far as we're aware, didn't affect any other region. So it wouldn't make sense for other regions to have Dynamax spots.
I get that.
And also, unless they're going to carry over the big football stadium style arenas going forward, which from what we've kind of seen in trailers for Scarlet and Violet doesn't look like they're going to do, there would be simply no room for Dynamaxing.
Which is a shame in some degree, because one of the things that I do like with Sword and Shield is the raid battles that you can compete in. And, the trailers have already shown that for Gen 9, you can work with 3 other people, you can wander together, you can battle together, you can trade together. And it feels like that was a natural evolution of, okay, you've got to work with your friends to take down these big, powerful mons. And if they aren't big, powerful mons, then what boost do they get to make it a challenge for you? And they might have something in Gen 9, some battle gimmicks, I'm sure they will, that we're not completely aware of yet. that might facilitate that in a different way. That the gimmick in this in Gen 9 boosts the power, or the abilities or the typings or whatever it might be of this Pokemon. So you do actually need to work with others to take it down. But it just felt like Dynamaxing was that. It just worked. Oh, look how big and strong this Pokemon is with shields. Yeah, you're gonna need 3 other people to help you take it down. I just loved Dynamax. Just it affected multiplayer, it affected the story, it affected single player. It just felt like it was really thought out. And no matter what type of player you are, competitive, casual, you could take advantage of it, but also had to deal with it as well.
See, weirdly enough, I never did much of the single raids.
No.
But when the expansion came back and they did the raid dens,
yes,
that I was suddenly a big fan of. Like doing them back to back to back was good fun.
Great.
Actually.
Yes. It was a lot of fun. I didn't do it that much, to be honest with you, which is a shame. And I've been meaning to go back and try and get some of the shinies that way, because apparently the shiny odds are really good for some of the Pokemon. But what? Okay, should we look forward now?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Let's look forward. So, you know a little bit more because you've done your theory videos around Gen 9. So, do you want to just very quickly sum up like what you discussed in them?
So, it depends. So, I think we're going to get a couple of different styles of gimmicks. I think the specific battle gimmick will be some way of changing typings.
Okay.
And my thinking on this one is the fact that, we've had evolution. We had Mega Evolution. We've messed around with evolving Pokemon. We've messed around with moves. Those are 2 of the most fundamental aspects of Pokemon. The only one left is typing. So being able to change up your typing on the fly, I think would be an interesting mechanic. The way I pitched it was a case of you basically rub whatever crystal you've got and you pick an aura for your Pokemon. So you, for instance, have a Charizard who's up against a Blastoise, and the Blastoise is no doubt going to use its water move. So you choose to take on a grass type aura. So that adds grass typing to your Charizard. So you're now fire, flying, grass.
Okay.
You're not, because of the interactions of all those typings, you're not technically resistant to water, but you're no longer weak to it. So you take neutral damage, but your normal type moves, at least this is my thinking of how this kind of gimmick would work, would be your normal type moves take on the same as like abilities like Aerolate and Refrigerate and Pixelate, where it basically, whatever aura you take on, your normal type moves have that damage type. Okay. And because you've taken on the aura of that typing, you also have stab for it.
I like that. I like that a lot.
And then it much like Dynamaxing, only lasts for like 3 turns, so you've got to be careful when you use it, and once it's done, it's done.
Right. Okay. I like that idea because a bit like Dynamaxing, it influences on both competitive and casual as well. So it's obviously something that you need to be aware of as you are, playing through the game. And what I also like about it is this: it helps to one of the big issues we've always had with gym battles is, I use rock, and look, there's grass and water type Pokemon just outside the gym. Go and get them first, and then challenge me. And once you've figured out the typing and what mons you can use, it's very rare that you struggle with most of the gym leaders. There's always 1 or 2 that throw you a curveball. Whereas this feels like suddenly you've got the grass type Pokemon, you're gonna go against the rock type gym leader. He uses his aura. Suddenly he's a fire type. So suddenly your grass Pokemon are now at a disadvantage. So it helps to force you to build a diverse team to cope with this. But also, it could be used to give the gym leaders, or whatever name they have in this, just a bit of a difficulty spike that I think they've needed for a while, just to freshen up the single type gym battles, which I am against now. I don't like that. simply because it is a little bit easier. But if they were to implement this, it helps to balance that out a little bit.
I think it also works the other way though. So we're still we don't know a lot about this game still at point of recording. So it's supposed to be open world. Does that mean if there are gyms, we can approach them in any order?
Yeah.
If so, well, what if I take my water Pokemon to the grass type gym? Well, hang on. It doesn't matter so much anymore because I can just put a fire type aura on them and suddenly we're in a much better position than we were before.
Yeah.
You know, so it works in both ways. Yes, the gym leaders can use it to give you a bit of a difficulty spike, but it also makes it slightly easier for you earlier on when you don't have so much diversity to your team.
I like that a lot. I hope. Do we think, though, we're going to have an issue with this where you start out and you can't use any auras, and then every time you battle or beat a gym or a story element, it's, now you can add fire type aura because you beat the fire type
really
gym.
hope not.
Yeah.
I really hope not. I hope they just introduce it as like, here's how the mechanic works.
Yes.
I mean, the issue is that obviously, are you going to be able to choose from all 18 typings every time you use it? Because that can get quite confusing, especially if it's adding a third type to your Pokemon.
Oh, yes.
Because the interactions between 3 types and stuff like that is, whoa. So, I mean, some people, myself included, still occasionally have issue with the normal type chart.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, some Pokemon typings I have got down to a T. Others, even now after playing Pokemon for I don't know how long, it's wait, what? I'm weak to that, and it just
it's resistances. I couldn't tell you for the life of me what bug resists.
Oh, I don't know. I honestly don't know, unfortunately. One way they could balance that out, though, maybe, is that every time you go to the surrounding area around a gym, for example, it could be a case of, okay, you've entered a new area, therefore your aura isn't as strong here. You only can access 3 of the auras. If you want the others, well, you need to go out and catch a corresponding Pokemon from that area. So if you go out and catch the Clefairy that's just in that cave over there, you can now add fairy auras because you've got a fairy type Pokemon. I don't know, they could explain it around, your sync has been boosted, or you've taken that Clefairy's aura, or whatever it might be. And that would be a way to make sure that it isn't overkill at the start or confusing at the start where you can suddenly go, okay, you've got 18 auras throughout the rest of the game, but go have fun. And it would make it so that you have to think about, okay, the gym leader's coming up, I know they're weak to grass, this is my team, I'm probably going to need a fire, a flying mon, and an ice mon, and therefore I'm going to go out and try and catch those Pokemon. But also it's an opportunity to do what Legends Arceus did, where it actually rewards you in some way for going out and, exploring new areas, catching new mons, diversifying your team, and I just think it'd be a nice way maybe to implement some of the gameplay loop that we had in Legends Arceus that everyone was really positive about.
No, I fully agree. I think the other thing I was thinking of when I came up with this theory, which you can find on my channel, by the way. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. The idea that you have auras rather than a form change for every single Pokemon. But given what we've seen previously, do you think we're going to get some form changes?
No.
Or some signatures. Some kind of signature aspect to the gimmick.
So, if we are going down this aura route and you can add a third typing, I want to say no, it's probably just going to be a quick animation, and then they have got an aura around them like that you can physically see that is the color of the typing that you have added, maybe. And the only reason I think that is because to do any kind of changes that affect all Pokemon, like physically change the design of the Pokemon, means that the developers then have to take that into account when they are designing said Pokemon. And it might be that, I don't understand the software that they use to develop these games. And it might just be that they have it where, okay, every Pokemon, these are the colors that you can change. So, for example, Charizard's orange, like, I'm pretty sure they could create some kind of algorithm that goes, okay, if they've chosen the fairy type aura, you change the RGB values of this monster, therefore the red now becomes pink, for example. But to do that across all Pokemon, I don't. That's why I think we're not getting Mega Evolutions where the actual form changes, or Gigantamaxing where again the form changes. I think if it is this adding a third typing as an aura around your Pokemon, it will just be your Pokemon is reacting to your aura, and then it'll be like like Dragon Ball Z style, where they have the energy thing around them, and it's the color of whatever typing they've taken. I think that's what we're gonna get.
Yeah. I think we will get form changes for Pokemon, but I don't think they'll be tied to this gimmick.
No, it'll be like regional Pokemon.
It's similar to it, yeah. I think it's going to have something to do with like time travel. Like you'll have like past forms of Pokemon, future forms of Pokemon. Whether they come to you or you go to them, I'm not entirely sure yet, but that's kind of where my thoughts lie with it.
See, that one seems more manageable from a development point of view of, we've not got it. However many, let's say there's 400 Pokemon in this game. I don't know. I don't know if it's been confirmed. Like, obviously, not all of them are going to have past and future variants, simply because that you're doubling the amount of Pokemon that you need to design. So there'll probably be, 20, 30 maybe. The legendaries will be in there. Maybe one or two Pokemon for gyms or the champion or whatever format it takes that have these alternate forms that they take on. And we've seen that done in previous games. With the Mega Evolution. So I think that if we are going to, what we have to think about is ultimately, Game Freak is limited both in terms of time and money to some degree, and therefore they can't, they won't implement things that require wide sweeping changes for the majority of the game, because ultimately it impacts on development length, and they're already against it in terms of the crunch, so to speak, which is a shame. Go on.
So I was going to say, so that's what I think is going to happen. What would you like to see happen?
Oh, that is it. Oh, so I don't know, because I'm kind of like shoehorned into this type gimmick. I think what see, I'm trying to come out from a point of view of like I could wish for anything now, but ultimately I have to take into account like what is realistic.
No, you
for
don't.
them. No, I don't.
No, this is just like what somewhere in the future, not like Scarlet and Violet. Just
okay.
what would you like to see implemented as a gimmick?
Oh wow! If I had to implement something, I don't know how this would work. I would love to see a 6-on-6 battle. Just for the chaos of it, like literally. Okay, you've been so it's basically like the Horde encounters from Gen 6, where it was 5v1, except for this be 6v6. Because then suddenly some Pokemon that don't excel on their own, they are very much built for double battles, can suddenly make a huge difference to your team. So I'm thinking of Mega Glade. Glade has Wide Guard, for example. Suddenly being able to use that across your entire team of 5 other Mons, absolutely fantastic. Things like, you could have one Pokemon set up Sunny Day, and on the same turn, your other 2 or 3 Pokemon could all use Fire-type moves, for example. So I'd like to see that and for those of you that like watch my YouTube or follow me on Twitch or whatever, like I just love chaos. Like whenever there's like a chaos element introduced in the game where everything's just a little bit mad, where everything's happening all at once and you can't keep track of it, I love that kind of stuff. So 6v6, I think I'd like to see. What about you?
Nice. Oh no, you weren't supposed to throw this back.
Oh, well, I have to go.
What would I like to see? Off the top of my head, I'm not stalling for time. No, couldn't possibly be me. It's very specifically a battle gimmick. Oh god, I don't know. Some kind of battlefield maneuverability. So you are able to change up the field, for instance. So if you create, I don't know how you do this. So this is suggesting like you're getting into like real time strategy kind of movement here. And it just changes up what Pokemon is. But yeah,
Yes.
no, I'd love to see it. Like, if you create Earthquake, okay, suddenly or you use Fissure and it misses. Now there's still a big gap in the ground that your Pokemon have got to navigate around, and you can use certain moves like push them into it and things like that. Would that be crazy? Yes, of course it would. But that's what I came up with off the top of my head.
So I would like that. I would absolutely love that. Whether or not I'd want to see it in a
mainline game
is another thing. I think because I remember when they announced BDSP, and somebody created a trailer where it was a mix between BDSP and Pokken. So you get to the battle. It's like I think it was Flint. He's like, okay, let's battle, and the main
Empoleon runs across and stuff like that. It's doing the whole Naruto run.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it.
Oh.
I'd love to play it. I'd love to experience it.
Yes.
Again, maybe not for a mainline game because it is so different.
Yes, I think they'd have to. That would probably fit better for a Pokemon style game where there's a limited amount of Pokemon to choose from. You can have your arenas. I would like to see that. I would. Okay, are we done with gimmicks? Anything else you want to mention?
I think that covers the vast majority of it.
Okie dokie. Well, let's move on then to our weekly Pokemon Journey discussion. So if you're new to the podcast, basically we watch 3 episodes of Pokemon Journeys each week, and then we just go over our thoughts, feelings, what we liked, what we didn't like. And this week we're kicking off with episode 20, Dreams Are Made of These. Can you remember it?
Yeah. What was this episode about again?
So
the thing is, I watched all 3 of them a couple of days ago, and when I finished the 3rd episode, I was like, I don't remember the first one I watched.
So I deliberately make like bullet points because typically when I in an ideal world, we'd watch all 3 of these on the day of recording because then it'd be fresh in our heads. But it doesn't work like that because we have lives outside of this recording. So typically, we record on a Wednesday, and I then watch the 3 episodes on the Thursday and Friday while I'm working from home, ready for the following Wednesday. So by that point, I've forgotten some of the main things. So what I sometimes do is write down.
Oh, I know this episode.
Yeah?
This is they're leading the children around.
Pokedex race. It's a Pokedex race. Is the way I kind of describe
this is a filler episode.
So yes, it is a filler episode, but there were some nice elements that I liked where it didn't completely. It felt like it was fleshing out. Maybe I'm reading too much into that. So one of the things they do is they encounter some Meowths and Persians, and then they encounter Rattatas and Radicates, and then it's basically a gang fight where these 2 gangs end up fighting. But then I got thinking, well, actually, no, it's more about like it's showing the food chain in the wild, isn't it? Because surely the cat Pokemon would eat the mouse Pokemon, and the evolved forms would try to protect their offspring or their family, whatever it might be. But then, bizarrely, Officer Jenny interrupts and says, it's dangerous to stand that close to a Pokemon battle. Is it a Pokemon battle if it's in the wild? Surely it's just Pokemon trying to eat other Pokemon for food.
I think it's pitched, at least to the younger audience, that no, it's just a fight.
Battle.
Fighting is just what they all do. It's fine. This is totally normal and totally natural, and it's all good.
But as an adult, though, I did enjoy the going, okay, this is how the Pokemon would be in just the city, in the wild, and they still have to eat, obviously, and some Pokemon would obviously work together to either protect themselves or to, like you see in, everyday life with wild animals. So there was parts of this episode that I did actually enjoy that fleshed out, but I don't think they did it on purpose. That's the problem. This wasn't like, okay, this is the creative decision that we have made for this episode that while it might be filler, there's an underlying educational piece that we are going to teach people about Pokemon. It's not that at all. It was just like, okay, how can we pad it out in the wild?
Let's just wander around the city. Okay, here's a Meowth, here's some Rattata.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess Ash should have a battle. I guess Go should catch some Pokemon.
So the Go thing, Go just catches Pokemon. That's his thing. I didn't expect an Ash battle in this episode. But thinking about it, probably should have done simply because it's a long episode to just have them educating children and trying to, go out and teach them. I quite enjoyed the battle. It was great to see Meganium because I absolutely love Meganium and watching it fight. And one of the things, I remember last episode when I said, like, why did Pikachu use Quick Attack against Poliwrath?
Mm-hmm.
Because like, obviously it can use electric type moves. Now, thinking back to that, and then this week, like Meganium starts charging up Solar Beam and Ash responds with use Quick Attack, which makes sense. So obviously Quick Attack basically is sacrifice a bit of power, but hopefully you get in there quick or you get to your target quicker in order to attack. So suddenly I'm like, okay, I'm starting to understand a little bit more around how moves differ between the anime and the games and how it works.
You can't clothesline someone with an Iron Tail in the game.
No, exactly. Yeah, so it is very, very, very different. Although this is the worst episode ever simply because Meganium loses.
Oh, diddums.
Yeah. It's it's fiction, okay? So I can say Meganium wouldn't lose in real life. And this Farfetch that keeps popping up. Do you remember it? Do you remember it?
I don't actually. I was watching this and I was like, "You again?" I was like, "Who? Did I miss something?"
Yes. So there's a Farfetch that pops up 3 times in the episode, and Go tries to catch it, and the first 2 times it hits the Pokeball back at Go's face. Absolutely love it. And then on the 3rd time, he finally catches it.
He softballs it.
Yeah. So he manages to get the Farfetch, which is an extra mon, and it does reinforce that Go hasn't given up on his dream of getting Mew. He mentions it in this episode. So obviously we're not just forgetting that. And then
we even see Mew in this episode.
We see Mew. So my first thought when you see the Lugia was, it's the same Lugia from episode 1. It's following them around. That's interesting. Only then to find out it's not a Lugia. It's the Mew. So they're obviously not dropping this whole plot point about Go trying to get a Mew and reinforcing that Mew is in this. So does this series end with Go getting his dream and Ash getting his dream? Or maybe only one of them gets their dream, maybe?
Well, hang on, because Ash has specifically stated that beating Leon is a step on the way to becoming a Pokemon Master.
Oh, okay.
And he even says it again in one of these episodes that, like, yeah, if I beat Leon, I'll be one step closer to my dream. Becoming the best Pokemon trainer in the world isn't enough for him.
No.
And that's why, like, I've seen a lot of times people are like, oh my God, if Ash wins, that's it. They're going to drop him from the franchise. We're never going to see him. And that's never going to happen, guys.
No.
They're keeping Ash as the protagonist forever and ever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
Like there was a question of like, are they going to replace Ash with Go? And it's like, well, that's not going to happen because Go's partner Cinderace or Scorbunny or Rabu, as the case may be at the moment. You know, it's a great Pokemon, but it's not Pikachu. I don't understand how. It's just not going to happen. They're not going to have a main protagonist whose partner isn't Pikachu. No. Pikachu is more the star of this show than Ash is, really.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'd agree with you there. Like I believe you could potentially drop Ash. You couldn't drop Pikachu.
No, so I don't think Go will replace him. I just don't think we'll ever get rid of Ash. I think his dream has been left purposely nebulous so that we never ever have to get rid of him, no matter how good he gets.
That's it. And the thing is, like, Ash saying that he wants to be the very best, the Pokemon Master. Well, isn't it a coincidence then that every single generation there's new champions and new gym leaders to fight? So there's always going to be somebody for Ash to prove himself against. So, like, this is it. This is it. For Ash is going to stay at, 10 years old for the next 100 years when Pokemon is still a thing. We just got Ash for life, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with that. Should we move on to the next episode?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
That one, I'm sorry there wasn't a lot to be said about that one, but it was just kind of like Yeah. It was fine, but it was kind of forgettable.
I enjoyed it, but I can understand that compared to the next 2, it doesn't hit as hard as these next 2. So the next one is episode 21, Caring for a Mystery, and it's an excellent episode.
Ooh, there you go. That was slightly better.
So the main mystery throughout most of this is what's in the egg. Did you have any thoughts?
When I watched it the first time, I don't think I did. I was just like, oh, okay, egg, cool. Well, interesting. So, did you ever watch the Lucario movie?
No, I didn't. No.
So the Lucario movie introduced the concept of the Aura Guardian and Lucario.
Yeah. Okay.
So this idea that Lucario can sense auras, and it was put forward in that one that Ash had this ability to, or he had a strong aura.
Hmm.
Now, aura is this kind of nebulous concept within Pokemon that kind of, it's like tuning into the infinity energy of Pokemon.
Okay.
You know, all the way through while we've been watching this on this podcast, I've been like, Ash is on a wavelength with his Pokemon. He gets it, and you've seen that over and over and over again. And it is visualized so well in this episode where he turns, and it's Riolo. You see it through Riolo's eyes, and he looks at Ash and Pikachu as they kind of stand there for battle together, and they're just radiating. And you can tell that they're in sync, and their literal like vibrations are on point with each other. And that's why Ash is powerful. That's why Pikachu is powerful. It's not that, you know, you said a couple of weeks ago, oh, has Pikachu got really high IVs? No, it's because Pikachu is in tune with Ash. When Ash sacrificed himself all the way back at the very beginning, when he threw himself in front of those Spearow, that was Ash and Pikachu being like, okay, we can come together now. You are emotionally invested in me. I can get emotionally invested in you. Their hearts syncs up, the power of love, the power of friendship radiated between them, and now they are some of the most powerful beings in all of the Pokemon world. And that is Aura, and that is what Ash radiates, this ability to just be in tune on an emotional level with Pokemon, and I freaking love it. And I love the fact that just Riolu, he could hear Riolu calling out to him from an egg from the next town over.
So,
what?
Yes, I know, right? So, like, for me, not watching this, and obviously they mention about the Pokemon's from Unova. Was it that? Was it Unova? Sinnoh. It was from Sinnoh. So I'm there trying to figure out, like, well, what Pokemon is it? And it can't be a legendary or mythical, because they are pretty much stated not to hatch from it. Like in the games, other than, is it Pion or Manaphy, whichever one gives birth to the other one?
Well, Pion, so Manaphy is the only one that can lay an egg in captivity, and you get Pion from it. But we know that Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina all come from eggs, because you have the event in Heart Gold with the Arceus. We also know that Moltres, Zapdos, and Articuno all hatch from eggs, because you see them in Pokemon Snap.
Oh, yeah, we do.
So legendary Pokemon do also come from eggs. The only thing is we've never been able to breed them in captivity.
Right. Okay. That makes a bit more sense, and it ties into what they say at the start, because they mention about nobody's ever seen a Pokemon lay an egg.
Yeah.
Which still ties into the game, because they always say in the game, oh, we just found this egg lying around. So it makes me think that it's a bit like, sorry to get a bit gross, you know, when like a dog looks at you while it's pooping for, like, you know, confidence or whatever, reassurance, whatever. So it's a bit like the opposite of that. So Pokemon's about laying an egg, you approach it, and it's just looking at you. Waiting for you to go so it can finish laying this egg, just staring at you like, oh, this is awkward. I'm just gonna walk away now.
I wasn't ready for that. Okay. I mean, yeah, sure. I like the way they explained egg moves, though.
Go on.
Because they explained that the Jigglypuff was singing to Azurill the whole way through it being an egg, and then when it hatched, Azurill could use Sing and sang the same song as Jigglypuff, which implies that that's how egg moves work, is that they're learning from their parent whilst they're in the egg state. It's really cool. I really like that bit of lore.
Yeah, I never thought about that, because obviously in the games, because I play randomized Nuzlocke, I am so used to you getting gifted the eggs, and the Pokemon always have disappointing movesets. But I completely forgot that yes, if you breed two Pokemon in the games, they pass on moves to the offspring. I completely forgot about that. And that does make sense, doesn't it? Like you say, if that egg is around other Pokemon doing their moves, that they would pick it up. And it helps to explain why Riolu, as soon as it hatches, just seems to have like a broken moveset. And what I do love about it is that when Ash finally like supports the Pokemon, and he just knows what moves this Riolu has, and it just goes.
He does witness it use Vacuum Wave immediately. To be fair.
Oh, did I miss that? Am I reading too much into
it hatches and uses Vacuum Wave on Ash.
Yeah, just no chill, just absolutely just whacks him. I do love Riolu in this episode. It'd be interesting to see. Obviously, he's going to get a Lucario at some point, but I'm interested to see, this friendship develop between the two and the respect that they have. And it again just goes to show that Ash is building up an absolute killer of a team for this season. Like, he has got an absolutely broken team at the moment. My only one criticism of this episode, if I have to say anything, that egg hatched way too long. We all know you have to walk 10 kilometers for the really good eggs.
But it already came all the way from Sinnoh.
Yeah, but hold on. How does that work? Does it just if it's on a train or a car, does that count towards the 10 kilometers, or do you have to walk? Because we see a load of people in this episode that are just carrying eggs with them, just on backpacks or rucksacks or whatever it might be.
Do we see that?
Yeah. There's it's at the very start where they're talking about Professor Elm and his eggs. He was a student of Professor Oak, and that people go around, they walk with their eggs to hatch them.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, so it's a bit like, okay, right, how does that? I'd be interested to know how that works. You got anything else for this episode?
No, I just really like this episode. I like what it's setting up with Riolu, the idea that Ash is like in sync. I think Lucario is going to be like this season's Greninja.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah. Oh.
So I'm looking forward to seeing where they go with it.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. So, third and final episode for this week is Goodbye Friend, which is a bit of a sad...
Go being the worst again.
Oh, I know. It's just... So, let's try and do it in chronological order. So they're obviously they're on the train, aren't they, to somewhere, and they're having a bit of a they're going to the home region, aren't they, to Little Root Town. And what the first thing that I absolutely love is the fact that they're having a drawing competition, and just neither of them can draw. Although I'm pretty sure the first one that Ash draws is a Garchomp.
Yeah, they're both supposed to be Garchomp, but I looked at Ash's one. Yeah, they're supposed to both be Garchomp. But I looked at Ash's, I was like, that's a Garchomp. And look, it goes, I was like, why is there antenna on it? It's not good.
No, I couldn't figure it out either. And then we come across some Zigzagoon in the wild. One of them looks injured, and another one tries to steal an item. And Raboot knows that Raboot isn't messing around. It knows that something is up. And
because he's seen that con before. He's pulled that one.
Yes, he has. So he Raboot, back when he was a Scorbunny, knows the type to look out for. And the whole point that they are there is to, have a look at all the Beautifly that are going to be hatching. And I absolutely love the fact that the kids just respect this, like this, beauty of nature, where Go isn't trying to catch them and Ash isn't trying to battle them. And they both make reference to this, that just this once they are just like absolutely just amazed by this experience.
I like that it's wordless as well. It's like he turns around, it's like, don't you want to battle them? It's just like, yeah, me too. And it's like, oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah. What a lovely sentiment.
It is, absolutely. I just love it. The fact that, they can take a moment to go, okay, these characters would react differently in certain circumstances.
Because I did think about it myself. I was like, well, if Go really just wants a Silcoon, if he catches one right now, he'll get the Silcoon and the Beautifly.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect. But no. Obviously has a bit more self-control than we've been led on to believe in this series so far. And then the kids go to bed at night, and Raboot sneaks out.
Yeah, so we get the explanation that Raboot is in a rebellious phase, which is supposed to explain sort of why he's not looking Go in the eye and stuff like that for the last couple of episodes. Did that sit right with you? Did that explain as a parent? Did this?
No, because like rebellious stages, like they it just feels like it's an excuse. They're going through the rebellious stage. It's like, well, no, obviously something in nature or nurture has led to that. And what can you do to, support Pokemon in this scenario and try and understand them and figure out how you can help them. So I don't quite understand that, because I still think from what we've seen in previous episodes, the reason Raboot is acting up is just because it's sick and tired of Go's shtick.
Yep.
And just wants to, it seems like, to be the partner of someone who has a bit more what's the word I'm looking for? Competency. Yes, that's the word we'll go for, because Go isn't that, unfortunately. And, he is on a different journey to Ash, and if he, in terms of experience, he's way behind. So I can understand Rabbit's frustration, especially seeing how Ash handles battles compared to Go. But it turns out that Rabbit isn't leaving for Pokemon battles. He's leaving to basically hit the nightlife.
To go take part in Sharks versus, what is it? The Sharks versus the... Oh, God, my West Side Story knowledge is failing me now.
Oh, you've lost me. I've never seen West Side. So, sure, Baby Shark versus something else. Let's just leave it at
Jets.
that, yeah?
The Sharks versus the Jets.
There we go.
There you go.
Oh, he's
taking dance battles. Dance
battles.
Pokemon to the streets.
Yes. And that's basically what we get. They are just having a dance battle to decide, is it who gets the area?
It's who gets to control the area, I guess.
Yeah, so we get a bunch of Loudred turn up, who I do like how they're depicted in the anime. They seem like they would be when I was watching, I was like, yeah, that does kind of feel like how they would be. Very loud, very boisterous, very
imposing.
Yes. Oh, definitely. And it's not looking good for Raboot or his team of Zigzagoon and the was it the Ludicolo? No, it was Lombre, wasn't it? Lombre. And it's not looking good for them until Go turns up.
Yeah.
And they support Raboot in order to win the dance off. Which I go on, what do you not like that?
I don't know. I get it. I get what they're going for, which is like, you have this whole interaction of... The thing is, right, to me, Pokemon have always been friends. They're supposed to be the friends of the trainers, and it was kind of set up in this one that Go's like his embarrassing dad.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
It just didn't sit right with me. Maybe I'm like, I started this whole podcast thing going, oh yeah, Go's great, Go's fine. He just catches Pokemon too easily. That's my only problem with him. As I've been rewatching this, I kind of don't like him very much.
Oh, brutal. Poor Go. But
he shows up, he claps, and that is apparently enough for Raboot to go, okay, I can keep to that beat. Thanks for helping, Dad. I really wish you weren't here, Dad. But, you're so embarrassing, Dad.
That does seem... Now that you've mentioned that, I can understand where Raboot's coming from. Is someone that has a 9-year-old daughter who is now starting to embarrass her, apparently, even though I'm just acting out. I've always embarrassed her. I've always done. I can understand that, but I do like the fact that Raboot gets a bit of that respect for Go, and it's not through Pokemon battles, because ultimately that is where Go is probably at his weakest, and he does have other strengths and stuff like that. But saying that,
he pulls the worst decision ever.
Yes,
and we can't be too mad, because in season 1, Ash tried to give up Pikachu.
Yes. So I'm okay with him going, you know what, this isn't the right journey for Raboot. I'm gonna let him go off and live this life that he wants to live, whatever. I get that. What I don't get is, like, and Ash calls him out on this, is you did let him know that, right? And he's like, no. And then the train starts moving. It gets a little bit emotional. Although I was thinking, hold on, we've been here before where it just turns up on the train, and lo and behold, like last time, Raboot is suddenly on the train. But I do like the Go just lets go of all pretense. Just, I'm just going to hug this Pokemon. I've missed it. I was going to make a huge mistake, but it's turned out okay in this scenario. and whether or not, but the problem is, like, it's almost like, okay, their relationship was at a certain level. The relationship improved because obviously, Go helped them out during that dance battle. But surely he's lost all credibility and respect because he just tried to abandon his Pokemon, right?
Yeah, at least that's the way I would see it. Is like, yeah, and Reboot forgives him at the end of the episode. I don't feel like he should have.
Yeah, it's like, I could have done without the whole leaving them.
They didn't have that moment where they both come running towards each other and leap into one another's arms, and like, we both made mistakes. We thought this was right for us. It really wasn't. It was Go thought this was right because he thought he knew better, because he always thinks he knows better, despite the fact that he's got the to quote Hermione Granger, he's got the emotional range of a teaspoon. And I just Ash called him out once through this episode, which was a case of like, oh, did you tell Reboot that? Yeah. And it's like, you should be calling him out on so much more. Definitely.
Oh yeah, I agree. It's like, I have to give Go a little bit of leeway, a little bit of space, because he hasn't had the same amount of development time as Ash has had. Even though in the anime they are the same age, technically, I can understand frustrations with Go, unfortunately. And I think some of the frustrations though are they are as a result of he's naive compared to Ash. Unfortunately, he's not a bad person, but he's naive.
Well, I suppose this is it. We ask constantly, like, can you go to school or be a Pokemon trainer? Yes, you just get two different things out of it. Go, who went to school, is book smart.
Yeah.
Ash, who has lived life, has gained maturity and a level of wisdom about how things work in the real world and how to interact with people in a social setting rather than a structured one that is the school life.
I like that. So basically what we're telling the audience is to stay in school unless you become an amazing Pokemon trainer.
Yeah, and in which case you'll be emotionally, you'll become an emotionally stronger person and understand how the real world works, and you'll become the top 8 in the world at whatever it is you're trying to do.
There you go. Sorted.
That's how it works.
There we go. Done and dusted. But as always, I have a very important question, Connor. Are you up for playing a game?
I guess so.
Yeah! So, perfect. There you go. The challenge has been accepted. It's amazing that you could decline this at any point, but for some reason you keep coming back for more. In front of me...
Just a masochist, I guess.
In front of me, I have 3 Pokemon with 3 Pokedex entries each, and Connor has to spot the fake entry. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so first up is Greninja. It creates throwing stars out of compressed water. When it spins them and throws them at high speed, these stars can split metal in 2. Second one. It moves faster than light, appearing and disappearing in seconds. The only sign it was even there, if any, are droplets of water. The final Pokedex entry. It appears and vanishes with a ninja's grace. It toys with its enemies using swift movements while slicing them with throwing stars of sharpest water.
That was a rough one.
They're all good, aren't they?
They're all pretty good. I'm tossing up between the first and the third one. I'm gonna go with the third one.
Okay, it was the second one. So you just completely why'd you disregard that one?
I don't know.
Okay, I feel good then. The one fake Pokedex.
So my thinking was like, oh well, Greninja, maybe your most exposure to it is in Unite, where like its throwing stars are its signature. So maybe that's what you'll put reference to. I don't know. But then again, I should have listened to my own advice from weeks ago, which is, if 2 of them that sound the same, it's the other one, because you won't ever make one that sounds similar to another Poke.
Yeah,
right,
okay. Oh, there you go. Right, okay, let's try this next one then. So the first one was Greninja. What do you think the second Pokemon might be?
Is it Delphox?
It is Delphox. Well done. You can have half a point.
Don't patronize me. I will win this fair and square.
Okay, first Pokedex entry. Using psychic power, it generates a fiery vortex of 5,400 degrees Fahrenheit, incinerating foes swept into this whirl of flame. Second entry. It gazes into the flame at the tip of its branch to achieve a focused state, which allows it to see into the future. And the final one. Recently thought discovered for the first time, research suggests that this Pokemon was hunted due to people fearing its psychic powers.
Wow, okay. I didn't realize that Delphox went through witch trials.
I think that's what it's implying, isn't it?
I'm going to say the first one, knowing it's probably the second one.
It's the third one.
Come on!
I'm so sorry. Yes, that's what I was hinting at with the witch trials. I'm glad you picked up on that.
Well, that's why I was like, oh, there's no way you would write something like that. That sounds like something that would actually be hinted at in a Pokedex.
Yeah, okay. I'm quite proud of myself. So obviously we've had Greninja, we've had Delphox. Can you guess what the third and final Pokemon is?
Oh, Chestnut?
No, it's Caterpie. So the first Pokedex entry. It releases a stench from its red antenna to repel enemies. It grows by molting repeatedly. Second Pokedex entry. This common Pokemon can often be found in jungles and forests. If you smell a foul stench, then it's likely a Caterpie hiding nearby. And the third and final one. Its feet have suction cups designed to stick to any surface. It tenaciously climbs trees to forage.
All right, so I'm going to follow my own advice from the first question and say it's the third one.
Okay, no, it's the second one.
Do you know what? Next week, I'm coming at you with these.
Yes, okay, right. I'm absolutely okay with that. I've wanted to do this for a while. Yes, do it. Okay, there you go. I've accepted the challenge. So, Connor, you got 0, unfortunately, this time, which is a shame. By the way, I would love to know if people would love to see us at maybe like 50 or 100 episodes. We just do an entire episode of this.
Oh, God. See how many of them I can't get right.
I would love it. I would absolutely love it. Okay, let's move on to letters and comments. As always, if you've got a comment or question, you can reach us by leaving a comment on our podcast on YouTube or by emailing goldenrodpod@gmail.com. We actually have 2 questions this week. The first one comes from Captain Mod on Discord. Since the topic of old Pokemon games on Switch was brought up, I will put out my idea. They aren't just going to put them on virtual consoles on the expansion pass because they won't make enough money. But I think they should release them in 2 collections. A Game Boy collection with Gen 1 to 3 on one game and Gen 4 to 7 on a DS collection. Charge $30 to $40 for each one and then take my money. What do you think on this?
I hate this idea.
Okay, go on.
So my idea of like bringing them to the expansion pass, which I think we brought up in a episode previously, which is why this comment was made. So I've always wanted at least the original Game Boy games to come to the Switch online store the same way that they did with the DS online store. And I thought realistically you should include them in the expansion pass because it gives me a reason to actually get it. That was the thinking there. Sure, you should be able to buy them separately. I don't think they need to be in a collection, really. Unless the collection is significantly cheaper than buying each of them individually. Like, if I could get red, blue, yellow, gold, silver, crystal for $40, whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Suddenly, that's a pretty good deal. Actually, you know what? That's not a bad deal. But if I can get all of the Game Boy games, all of the Game Boy Advance games included in the expansion pass, I think that's just a better deal overall. And actually gives me some reason to want to pick that up.
I get that. So, like, if they did do this, I probably would buy it, to be quite honest with you. But I don't think they're going to. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One, those type of collections that you see where they group games together, when they've been done recently on other consoles, they are typically like remasters or HD, or so I'm thinking like Devil May Cry was one of the ones I did, or Metal Gear Solid, where they group them all together. You're only paying £30-40 for all the games, but they've had an overhaul. They've had a fresh coat of paint, so to speak. Whereas they can't really do that with Pokemon, unfortunately. And in terms of releasing them as a one and done kind of, okay, here you go, you can buy this game. I don't think they do it because it means that people can then sell those games on, which means they don't get a cut of the profit. And ultimately they are grouping games together, which they would get more money if they sold them individually. Hence why when, they released Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow on the 3DS, they were what, £20-30 each? Like they weren't cheap. And one of the reasons why I can see them doing it this way is because if you release it as a digital only download and you buy it on the Switch, for example, then when they release the Switch 2 or whatever that is, suddenly, oh well, they don't work on this new console because it runs on a different format, and we've seen that with the difficulty trying to get older games on PlayStation, for example. So I think if they're going to do it, they're going to release it as a digital download that every generation of console you have to buy again, basically. That's why I don't think this will happen.
I might go back on my statement here. I've completely flip-flopped on it now. I think I prefer this idea.
Yeah.
So again, I was on the thing of like, well, it would be better overall if it was part of the expansion pass, because then you just pay for the expansion pass and you've got it for as long as you want, and you get all of them.
Yeah.
But the problem is, if you ever stop paying for the expansion pass, you suddenly don't have the games anymore.
Oh yeah. Yep.
If for whatever reason they shut down the Nintendo Switch servers in the future, you suddenly don't have the games anymore.
Yep.
If they did release them as a bundle of Gens 1 and 2 in one game. So I'm thinking similar to like the Sega Mega Collection.
Yes.
Which they've done.
Yes.
I've got the physical copy of the Mega Collection, which is basically just an emulator with a whole bunch of ROMs.
Pretty much, yeah.
On one thing. That was effectively released on the expansion pass. So, but the thing is, as I say, if you stop paying for the expansion pass, you don't have the thing anymore. Whereas I bought the game, I will now have the game forever. I don't. Do I think they do it? No, because they'd make so much more money any other way they want to do it.
Exactly.
Do I think it's a good idea? Yes. I apologize, Mod. I'm sorry I said that I hated it. I don't hate it anymore. I think it's a great idea now that I've thought about it for more than 2 seconds.
There we go. Sorted. There you go. I think you got your answer there, Captain Mod. We've got time for one more quick question.
Let's do it.
So this comes from Rising Phoenix over on YouTube. If you had to pick one city in any region of the Pokemon universe, where would you want to live? Oh, I didn't realize it was city. I read it as region, but city.
Ecruteak.
Oh, how come?
Because Ecruteak, I think, signifies to me what Johto is. It's that kind of like traditional area, has the 2 towers that are gorgeous. I just like the architecture there. I think plus you're never that far away from Goldenrod either, so you can just kind of go down, and then the national park is just there as well. Actually, yeah, I think Ecruteak's pretty perfect.
Oh wow, okay? Considering that was on the fly, you've come up with like a banging answer. I absolutely love that answer. I'm struggling a little bit because I read this as region. I was like, oh yeah, region's dead easy, but actually a city, like having to pick which city to live in. I would. So probably if I had to pick, maybe Vermilion, because it's close enough to the other cities that you can go there for a bit of shopping. There's obviously the ferries depart from there, so it's quite easy to get to a couple of the other regions as well. Which means it's probably quite easy to get over to Fuchsia, so you can go to the Safari Zone. There you go. There's my answer, just on the fly. I'll go for Vermilion.
Well, fair enough.
Right. What have you got? Anything in particular you've got coming up this week, or you're working on?
So this week, the plan is either yesterday or today, as of day of release, to release a video covering leaks on Pokemon. Not current leaks. I will never ever reference current leaks in any of my content. But we're talking about the problem that is leaking within the Pokemon community. Having a retrospective look at some of the older generations, basically since the mass adoption of the internet in Generation 5. How bad have they got? Why is it getting progressively worse? Why are even those who are really into like the leaking community maybe suggesting that the stuff coming out about Scarlet and Violet is worse than we've seen before and maybe not actually fun anymore? And my thoughts and my feelings towards leaking in general.
Interesting, because like just very quickly to jump on that, I maintain that some leaks are done by the company just to kind of get a gauge on what people think. But I'm quite lucky that I've completely avoided spoilers from and leaks from Gen 9. But I almost had something spoiled for me the other day. And the issue is when it starts to creep into the the normal everyday places that people go to or the content that they watch, and then all of a sudden,
well, I brought up the point that like at the time of writing, if you typed in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet into YouTube, 3 of the top 5 videos were leaks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, and like the annoying thing, I'm okay with you doing a video on leaks. If that's what you want to do, that's absolutely fine. Don't be one of those people that puts it in the thumbnail. Yeah, especially if you're a big YouTuber. I've had Game of Thrones was spoilt for me because of that. Because somebody decided on the morning of to put it on as a thumbnail for it. I was like, right, okay, fantastic. Thanks for that, mate. There's no quicker way to get me to like basically block you or just click the thing that says don't recommend this channel. Like don't be that person. In terms of what I've got going on, I'm obviously still doing the cage lock with Tommy at the moment, which is going really well. Recording
good fun. I'm really enjoying that series.
Good. It gets where will you be up to now? Around episode 7.
You've just lost your first cage.
Yes. Okay. So you are in for a wild time. Like the first 3 episodes were quite calming, and then for both of us at different points over the next few episodes, it goes all over the place. We're recording later on. We're going to take on the 7th gym. We are both under-leveled. Like, I think their Mons are level 45, and because of the way the ROM's built, I think they send out 9 Pokemon in total. And yeah, honestly, I'm absolutely dreading this recording session later on because I know that
because it's the double battles, and the double battles aren't
yeah,
programmed correctly.
Yes, so they can have more than 6 Pokemon, which has come back to haunt me once. And the problem is you don't know which one has the 6, so it's quite difficult to get a 2-on-1 battle because you could be knocking out several Mons and then go, I'm actually battling the trainer with 6 Mons here, not the one that has, I think, 3. So we've got that going on, and I've got a couple of other. Basically, I'm looking at my YouTube channel thinking, okay, what am I going to do? Because I've got a couple of ideas that I want to do. I'm going to move away from challenge videos, mainly because they just take too much time. I can't consistently get them out, and it's disappointing more than anything. I've got a couple of ideas about things that I want to do, but I'm not ready to talk about them just yet, but maybe in the future. All right, that's the show for this week. If you've gotten this far, you're just a top dollar, aren't you? Connor, where can we find you?
You can find me on my YouTube channel at Captain Fidget or on Twitter at CapFidget.
And I'm Ben. You can find me as Professor Hoenn on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. As for the Goldenrod Podcast, you can find us on the usual platform. Search for Goldenrod Podcast on YouTube or on your usual podcast app. Leave a like on YouTube or a 5-star review if you're listening as a podcast. We will be back next Friday for another week of Pokemon podcast content. See ya.